Alright everyone, welcome back to another Game Vault video. As always, I'm Cat to beef you with the Game Vault. Somebody go get Tipper Gore out of retirement because NBC News implies that video game Among Us may have inspired the United Healthcare CEO assassin. Let's cue up the music and we're going to talk about this. All right, so if y'all haven't heard, I'm not even going to mention his name, but there was the assassin or anything. There was an assassination of a United Healthcare CEO approximately a week and a half ago. Now, I don't condone his action in any way, shape, or form. Now, let me lay a couple things on the table before we even talk about any of this. I hate insurance companies personally. I think insurance companies are, for the most part, a scam. They are in business to make money. They're not really in business to help us. We pay into it on a monthly basis, all of us. We pay car insurance, health insurance, homeowners insurance, life insurance, all kinds of insurance. And whenever we try to make a claim, very often those claims are denied, disputed, or only partially paid out upon. Now, even if they are paid out, we very often have a deductible that we have to pay against that payout. So it's just it frustrates me the way insurance works because it's just, to me, it comes off as very, very scammy. I understand the necessity for it. I understand what it's all about. I just don't think it's a good, I don't think it's there as a benefit. Well, obviously it's not a benefit for the people. That's just the way it is. But on the other hand, the answer to issues with insurance companies is not this. We don't assassinate the CEO of an insurance company. I'm sorry, man. That's not the right answer to anything, really. So let's look at this a little bit. One of the more egregious narratives to come out of 24-hour news cycles coverage of the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, NBC News attempted to create a connection between the alleged assassin and the video game Among Us. Thompson was gunned down in the streets of New York City by the masked assailant on December 4th. After that, a manhunt erupted for the suspect that went on far longer than it probably should have. The suspect was arrested in a McDonald's parking lot 5 days later on December 9th. Now, if you remember, he rode off on, I think it was a rented bicycle or scooter or something like that, and just, boom, took off in the area. Now, people celebrated this online. People celebrated this in the media, this attack and this assassination and all that. This man was a father. He was a husband. He had a family, okay? Whether or not you agree with United Healthcare and the way they handle insurance claims, and I don't. I despise insurance companies. I'll be honest. I despise them. He deserved better than this, Fight these claims in court, Fight insurance companies in different ways. Shop around, whatever. Sue them. Do whatever it takes. Get class action lawsuits, anything. You don't assassinate a CEO because tomorrow there's going to be another CEO. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to hire security. And it's going to cost the company money. You know what they're going to do? They're going to raise premiums to cover it. And they're not going to change the way they do things because some lunatic shot their former CEO. There's zero benefit from this. In fact, all this idiot did was make things worse. But let's move on. Police seized a backpack containing a 3D printed gun and a silencer that's believed to be the murder weapon. The assailant was also in possession of multiple fake IDs, weird, including a passport, a handwritten manifesto, and a Faraday bag. So, now I'm a conspiracy theorist at heart. All of this seems way too convenient. And here's another funny thing, right? Anytime there's a shooting, mass shooting, somebody's, whatever, the left always calls for gun control. This time they didn't for some reason, just like they didn't when assassination attempts were made for our upcoming 47th president, Donald J. Trump. It's the only time they don't call for gun control. Any other time somebody shoots off a gun, boy, they're calling for it left and right. Isn't that ironic, man? It's almost as if they really don't care. They just care about, the situation at hand. Anyway, This bag blocks incoming or outgoing radio signals from any device within. Inside the bag, police discovered a cell phone, $8,000 and $8,000 American dollars and $2,000 in various foreign currencies. The assailant became an instant celebrity following his arrest, with many Americans unhappy with the country's healthcare system, shockingly holding him up as some kind of hero for allegedly taking out an insurance CEO. Scumbag Jimmy Kimmel even dedicated an entire section of his monologue to making jokes about how good-looking members of his staff found the alleged assassin. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel, you're a dirtbag, bro. I remember when COVID came out, some of the things you said about people like me who refused to get the shot. I will never forget these things, and I won't say anything else about you, but yeah, you're on my list. I'm not going to say what list, but you're on it. Yeah, these guys are, they're animals, the left. They want to solve everything through violence. They think that's the only way. If you disagree with them, they wish violence on you. They wish death on you. They want to hurt your family. They'll come at you. They'll try to dox you. They'll try to ruin your life. They'll try to ruin your career, whatever they can. They'll want to do that. And it's crazy, And let's look at something else that's going on in the news. At the same time this was going on was Daniel Perry was on trial. Daniel Perry, if you remember correctly, was that former Marine that was on a subway where a guy was acting out, and he restrained him. The guy acting out on the subway was threatening violence against everyone. And Daniel, as well as two other men, restrained him. Those other men were black men. The man that was restrained was a black man. Well, he ended up perishing after police arrived on the scene. He didn't perish by Daniel's hands. He perished after police arrived on scene. Now, of course, the restraining probably had something to do with it. Who knows? I'm not a doctor. I don't know all the details of that. But I'm willing to concede to the fact that, yeah, had he not been restrained, he probably would still be alive today. And under no circumstance do I believe the man deserved to die for what he was doing that day. But on the other hand, I don't believe Daniel Perry was a murderer. I don't believe he should have been brought up on charges of manslaughter, murder, anything like that day. He was merely trying to protect the men, women on that train from a perceived threat, and he had help. This is the man they all want to, destroy, but then they want to celebrate a man who took out an innocent CEO of just shot him dead in the street. And again, I hate insurance companies, so it's not like I'm trying to protect it. I'm not shilling for an insurance company or anything like that. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, that's how this country is right now. People are insane. Anyway, and because we live in an era of 24-hour news cycle, anchors need to fill time and find things to talk about surrounding this high-profile story, and that's what led NBC News' Alejandro Romero, a former college roommate of the killer, who was once in the same Discord server as him. I just found extremely ironic, that we were in this game and there could actually be a true killer among us, he said. The game is called Among Us. As soon as his photo and name popped up on X, my friend texted me asking if I knew him, and then either I was calling some 10 friends or they were calling me, Romero said. I didn't speak to anybody today who wasn't already aware of what had happened. Romero noted that their group once played the game Among Us. In the game, one of the players is designated as a killer and saboteur. That was all NBC News needed to hear, much as we've seen mainstream outlets do in the past. The Peacock-branded news outlet started to draw a parallel between violent video games and actual real-world violence. The article is titled, "Extremely Ironic, Suspect in United Healthcare CEO Slaying, Played Video Game Killer Friend Recalls." And while NBC writer Alicia Victoria Lozano doesn't outright say that Mangione the killer was inspired to commit actual cold-blooded murder from a children's video game, she certainly implies it throughout the article. The killer, who was arrested and charged with murder in the shooting death of United Healthcare Brian Thompson, once belonged to a group of Ivy League gamers who played assassins. A member of the group told NBC News, Lozano said in the article. She then describes the game, trying to pull the readers into following her train of thought. In the game called Among Us, some players are secretly assigned to be killers in space who perform other tasks while trying to avoid suspicion from other players, she said, before noting that the game is popular with children, presumably to set parents on edge. This reeks of more media blame cast on the world of gaming to justify actions of mentally ill or deranged individuals. Gaming always seems to get brought into the conversation when tragedy occurs. Games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto series have been dragged through the mud by media outlets trying to make the case that somehow video games are radicalizing the youth of America. It harkens back to the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s, in which heavy metal music and fantasy games like Dungeons and Dragons came under fire from people like Tipper Gore. God, didn't I start this off with her name? As a force that somehow corrupted the youth of America. It wasn't true then, and it isn't true now. Spencer Baculi, editor-in-chief at Bounty in the Comics, put it expertly in his article on this situation when he said, "Far from an innocent mistake, it's clear that NBC attempted to blame the one video game mentioned throughout the entire investigation due to the ease of which they could make that argument rather than taking aim at, say, the killer's reading of the Unabomber's manifesto, which he rated a 4 on Goodreads." So what do you guys think? Do you think Among Us corrupted the killer? Do you think it turned him into an assassin? Or do you think that was... lazy reporting is what I'm saying. Just absolute lazy reporting. And it's shameful. That guy should be shit canned for doing that. Absolutely horrifying. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell for notifications and be careful what you're playing for. It's a good thing this guy wasn't playing Assassin's Creed. Can you imagine then? Oh my goodness. Ubisoft would be even in more trouble than they are now. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, peace.